Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Speaking of Zane. It is November the 2nd, hard to believe, 2025, our 325th episode of Speaking of Zane, if you can believe it. Just incredible that I've been able to do it that long and still have things to talk about. Sometimes I wonder if I have things to talk about, but I always seem to come up with things. So I appreciate you guys joining along the way, either live or watching the recording on YouTube or the Facebook channel. But here we are again. Had a good week at work, home all week, which was fantastic. Lori came home for the weekend. Great to see her. And we had some of the grandkids over Friday evening. They like to trick or treat in our neighborhood. And they did that and had a good time. And then our little granddaughter, Carson, who is Jackson's daughter, she'll be 6 on New Year's. She had a sleepover with us, which she often does. And it's always an interesting time. But she's such a smart little girl. She's in kindergarten right now. And so she's beginning to write and sound out words with phonetics and all the stuff. And she there's a lot of words that she can spell, and there's a lot of them that she sounds out with. But anyway, she hung out with me for a good bit up here in my office, and she always likes to draw and color. And she made me a card that says "Love Carson," and it has these hearts on it. And then you open it up, and it's me and Carson. There's Granddaddy and Carson, and the sun and flowers and the sky and grass. Just really cool. And then on the inside, she was really proud of all of the hearts, all the hearts. She can spell love. That's one of her words. And then there we are again at the bottom. And she says, my clothes are blue, because she knows that's my favorite color. And she counted all of the hearts. She's got happy faces in there too, you can see, but she counted all of the hearts because she also wrote a card for her Grammy, one of her favorite people in the world. And she says, "Granddaddy, I'm going to count the number of hearts because I want them to be equal. I don't want her to get upset if you have too many hearts than her." So she made sure that there was the same number of hearts. But then, in a twist of fate, I didn't give her the undivided attention she was seeking this morning. So she wrote another card for me. And the other card, it was very simple: less hearts, less color. In fact, it was kind of dark. She wrote, I don't know if you can see it here, but she wrote a big heart and said, "No love." And then through the middle, you can see the heart is broken. And then she wrote her spelling there: "My heart is broken." So she gave me this, and then she went away pouting. And then before she was leaving to go home, she came back and said, "I'm sorry, Granddaddy." And then she revised it. And in the heart, she says, "My love is back." So we ended on good terms today. But Lori is right in the chat there. She absolutely loves attention, and she deserves it. She's a special little girl for sure. But let's see. Lori's in there. Peggy's in there. Or Peggy and Carl's in there. Brenda Lusk is in there. Aunt Mary's in there. Good to have you all in here for Speaking of Zane. I was just saying it's our 325th edition, and I keep finding things to talk about. So anyway, that was good. Lori was home, then she headed back, and now she's spending the week looking after our little granddaughter Nyla, who was over here for a little bit on Friday. But Lori and I did get to watch kind of together. We were both watching at the same time, but not in the same room. Game 7 of the World Series last night. And if you didn't watch it, it was a nail biter for both teams. And the Dodgers came out triumphant, but it was an extra inning game. And if you like baseball, and I didn't really have a dog in the fight. I'm happy the Dodgers won for Lori, but because she's a big Dodger fan. But it was just really good baseball back and forth. So anyway, we got to watch the game last night. Watched a little college football yesterday, as I always do on Saturdays. That's relaxing for me. Texas A&M had an off week, but I do watch Texas because I have a friend at work who's a big Texas fan. I watch Texas, and they had a good scare against Vanderbilt, but they came out triumphant. And then, of course, Army beat Air Force yesterday. Terrible. But got a little ribbing from some of my Army buddies at work over that one. All right. And I'm home actually again this week until Thursday afternoon. I'm flying up to Washington, D.C., where I'm spending Friday in our office up there. I've been asked to host and be a guest speaker for a group of military veterans that work for a tech company. And they've been going through this veteran leadership program, and it's culminating, and they're doing their graduation and all this stuff in DC, and they want to use our office for a little while in the afternoon. So my company asked me to go up there and host them for a variety of reasons. So I'm looking forward to that, and I get to go to dinner with them on Friday night, and then to the basketball game, the Washington Wizards basketball game. And Capital One Arena is literally right across the street from our office. So that'll be fun. And then originally I was supposed to be in St. Louis this weekend because we have a big Veterans Day 5K run that we're a sponsor for. And I've done it. I've done the 5K, probably the last 6 or 8 years, but I've never done it in St. Louis. I always do it somewhere else with the virtual option. And this year I was determined to do it in St. Louis. So I registered and everything to do it in St. Louis. So my plan was to be there. And the race is like 9 a.m, downtown St. Louis. Well, then I got asked to do this thing in Washington, D.C. on Friday, and then have the thing Friday evening. And there was just no way, no matter what airline or route that I took, there was no way I could get to St. Louis from D.C. in time to participate in the run. I'm still going to do the run, but I'm going to do it in Washington, D.C. I'm going to do it on the mall, which will be, the mall from the Capitol to the Lincoln Memorial, Lincoln Monument. Anyway, so I'll do that Saturday morning there, and then come home Saturday afternoon. And then I'm home for a few days, and then I am going to St. Louis the day after Veterans Day. I've coordinated a veteran social outing with some folks at work on Wednesday the 12th. So I'll just be there Wednesday, home Thursday evening. But anyway, it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of travel I'm doing, but all of it is exciting, interesting, fun, and worthwhile. So I'll post on Facebook, as I often do, some of these excursions. And then it won't be long before we're headed over to London. My flight is on the 29th, so Saturday after Thanksgiving. We're a little uncertain about when Lori's going to get there yet, but that'll be good. I do also, for work, I'm moderating a veteran roundtable discussion. We've done this in the past, but I'm doing another one this year on November 10th. It's open to the public. If anybody would be interested in watching this guy moderate a panel of veterans, let me know, message me or whatever, and I'll share the link with you, and you're welcome to join. It's a webinar. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what else is going on. Last week I talked about the Million Mile March. It's a long way off, but I'm halfway to my fundraising goal, so that's good. And I'm training. I did training. I'm walking a lot. This month, I was part of a challenge in the month of October to walk 100 miles. Well, that's easy because that's the mode I'm already in. So I said, yeah, I'll sign up for this. Plus, it was kind of for a worthy cause. A friend of mine at work lost his little daughter. I guess it was a year and a half ago, and they coordinated this to raise money. Anyway, I did 130 some odd miles in the month of October. I'm gonna have to crank that up because the 50-mile march is 50 miles in like 12 hours or 24 hours. So I got to work up my distance, and I have worked up a little training regimen. So I need to start that this coming week with regular walks throughout the week, and then a long walk on Saturday to get myself up to that. So we'll see how things go. Okay. Also coming up, Wreaths Across America is in full swing now. This year, the actual wreath placement all across the country, and there's likely a veteran cemetery that's participating somewhere near you. And but I put in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group the Speaking of Zane fundraising page. So if you'd like to be part of the Georgia National Cemetery where Zane is, you can go to that link, or you can go to that link and you can look for other locations as well. But I went ahead and put that in the chat. I've also got one for work, and the one for work are for our employees and our military veterans and our partner companies and stuff. But it focuses on Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in St. Louis, where we're headquartered, and Arlington National Cemetery near Washington, D.C., where we have another pretty large contingent of employees there. So we've got two locations that we're focusing on at work this year. David Surface is in there. Hey, David. I was just talking about Wreaths Across America. Now this year, Lori and I will be in London. This year's Wreaths Across America is December 13th. So Saturday, December 13th is the day, the placement. The fundraising runs all the way up to like the week before or something, the wreath purchases, wreath sponsoring. But anyway, Lori and I will be in London. So I signed us up to place wreaths at the Cambridge American Military Cemetery in Cambridge. So we'll have to either go up on Friday or go up early on Saturday. It's less than a 2-hour train journey from where we're at in central London to Cambridge. So either way, the wreath laying at Cambridge is at noon. So we have plenty of time in the morning to get there, and we can choose to stay the night, or we can go the night before and stay the night, whatever. We'll have to figure all that out. But this would be unique. It'll be the first time we've done wreath laying outside of the U.S. So that'll be great. And I may even try to enlist some of my colleagues in our London office to come along and do that with us. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, let's see what else is going on. I forgot to, speaking of London, I forgot to show this last week. Remember, I had spent a couple of weeks in London in September, and so it was over a weekend, and I was looking for things to do in London I had not done before. In July, I went to the Royal Air Force Museum. I had never been there before. And in September, I was looking around for things to do, and I found the Churchill War Rooms Museum. Never knew it existed, but it's in that same complex as 10 Downing Street, where the Prime Minister is. And I had no idea about this. I did my research, but it's the underground bunker area where Churchill and his staff executed World War II from, and it's been preserved like immaculately in the way that they left it after the war ended. So I had a really good time going. I don't know how many hours I spent in there, but it was fantastic, and walking distance to Buckingham Palace and all the normal stuff in that area. But anyway, I forgot to mention that last time, but I picked up a couple of things when I was there. One is the Churchill War Rooms. Let's let me focus. Churchill War Rooms challenge coin. You can see the silhouette of Winston Churchill there. I know that's not focusing for you guys, but, and then also it happens to be the 80th anniversary of the Imperial War Museums, which the Churchill War Room is in that network, as is Duxford, the Duxford Air Museum. If any of you guys that were in at Mildenhall, you might remember the Duxford Air Museum just south of Cambridge. It's an Imperial War Museum. Anyway, so I picked those coins up, and I also picked up this really cool, I don't think it was exactly like this at the time, but they put it into a nice little like pocket-sized book, but it's Instructions for American Servicemen in Britain, 1942. Just fascinating. These are the instructions that they gave American service members on interacting with the British populace, and lots of cool little things, language differences and humor and all kinds of stuff. But so I picked one of these up, Instructions for American Servicemen. Really cool. And then speaking of coins, I was got a friend. I've known him now 14 years. We've been working at the same company, and he's a Marine. He's a former Marine, and I bumped into him, and he lives in Tampa, but I bumped into him in the New York office when I was there a couple of weeks ago, and he gave me a very nice Marine Corps challenge coin. He was a radio recon guy, but so I have another coin there to add to the collection. All right, well, Dad's in there. Speaking of Marines, Mac Marine. All right, David's recounting a gathering there with one of his former colleagues. That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, I know, David, when you get back together, it's like no time has passed, right? We just had, you may recall, Lori and I went up to our reunion, our 10th ACTS reunion, the squadron that I flew with at Mildenhall. We've been having reunions every 2 or 3 years now, and we had one earlier in the summer, and up in Dayton, Ohio. But it's always like no time has passed, and I hope we continue to do those. In fact, for those that haven't heard, the group voted on the next location, which would be in 2027. So we met in 25, we'll meet again in 27, and the majority of the people that cast their vote for the location selected Pensacola, Florida. So that's where we'll meet next time. We've met a variety of places over the years, San Antonio, Branson, Missouri, Dayton, Ohio, Omaha, Nebraska. I'd love it if we could go meet at Mildenhall sometime, or meet at Lodges Field where we pull alert, but we'll see how things go. But anyway, it'll be Pensacola here in a couple of years. Speaking of 10th ACTS, you guys know Randy Bergmeyer. Randy Bergmeyer had a birthday this week. Happy birthday, Randy. Bergie, we call him. All right, let's see what I'm missing here. Speaking of vets, Lori found some interesting data about her grandfather on her paternal side, and found some things through ancestry about his service in World War II and everything. It's just fascinating, that the artifacts that you can find. And anyway, she put that in the Speaking of Zane Facebook page if you want to take a look there. Oh, there's Bergie. Hey, buddy, happy birthday to you. Didn't know you were in there, but I'm glad I caught your birthday there on the Facebook page. Yeah, Dave, I'm overdue for a trip down to Florida. Lori and I both. We want to get back down to Tampa, which is where we usually go down there because of my Warriors place. In fact, whenever we do get back down there from my Warriors place, David, I'd love to invite you over there to meet Kelly, the founder, and to see the property and understand the mission and all that stuff. Be kind of cool to maybe have a cold beverage and catch up. All right. Well, let's see. Let me working through my list here. Speaking of work, I've got a buddy at work. James is his name. Speaking of Tampa, he lives in Tampa, and he. I've known him for a decade now. His wife actually is on my team. I met her. In fact, I met her at my Warriors place and hired her. And now she's been working for me for a couple of years. But anyway, her husband, we all work for the same company. Well, he just wrote a book, really cool book. And I had the honor of previewing it before it was released and provide feedback to James and give him a little bit of insight from my vantage point, because a couple of reasons, a lot of reasons, but one of the primary reasons is being an amateur radio operator. And the name of the book is called Silence in the Signals. Now, James was in the Army. James was a paratrooper. In fact, next weekend, he's aligned with this organization. I can't remember the name of it, but they have an old C-47, and they take former paratroopers up on these flights and push them out over the water. They get to relive their paratrooper days. They do this thing very programmatically 2 or 3 times a year. He's a jump master, and he's going to be doing it this weekend. He invited me to come down, but I'm going to be in DC, like I was saying. But he does that 2 or 3 times a year there in the central Florida. I can't remember if it's Kissimmee or somewhere there, but they have them all jump out over a body of water, and then they have a bunch of boats and stuff picking everybody up. But anyway, James wrote this book called Silence in the Signals, and it released yesterday. It's available on Amazon. If anybody wants to check it out, I'll put a link on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and you can go get a copy of that. But I read it, and fascinating. It's one of those books where you get to the end of it, and you want more. It's one of those, right? Your appetite's not satisfied. Just fascinating book. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, not to give too much away, but if anybody saw the television series a decade ago or whatever called The Walking Dead, and the sort of the collapse of society. This book didn't have zombies and stuff like that, but the de-evolution, I don't know if that's a word, but anyway, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that apocalyptic kind of thing, but it's all centered around the impact of artificial intelligence and very topical things there. But anyway, James Matriciano is his name. Silence in the Signals, but really cool. Yeah, David, it's Phantom. Yeah, I think it's Phantom something, Phantom Air Force. Yeah. And now he's done some jumps with them, and now he's a jump master with them, which is pretty cool. Anyway, all right, hat of the week usually has something to do with whatever the heck is going on around here, or something topical. And I was gonna wear my Los Angeles Dodgers ball cap. I have one. In fact, I wore it last year after they won the World Series, but I can't find it, Lori. I don't know if you've got it, if it's in your car or what, but I couldn't find it, so I couldn't wear it. But I did remember that this coming week is the anniversary of the crash of a B-17, a restored B-17 called Texas Raiders. I don't know if you remember, Lori, but a few years ago, we went up to Rome, Georgia, where they were having somewhat of an air show, and the B-17 Texas Raiders was there, and we got to see it and everything. Well, later that year, or maybe it was the next year, it was involved in a midair collision with another aircraft in Dallas, and fortunately, all 6 people were killed, and the plane is no more. But so that's coming up this next week, and since I have a couple of Texas Raiders ball caps, I decided that would be the hat of the week. All right, there's Ted. Hey, Ted Droth. Speaking of 10th acts, got Ted in there from New Bern, North Kakalaki now. All right, well, let's see. What else we got here? Veteran Cemetery Challenge. We've been cataloging for quite some number of years whenever any of us visit a veteran cemetery of any kind. And I know Daryl made a visit to Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery today, as he often does weekly, to see his wife, Wanda. And then I know my dad I always count my dad for at least a couple of visits, and my sis to Evergreen, where my mom rests, and my Uncle Bob, who was retired Air Force, and many other family members. And then we have a new one to add to the list, thanks to Steve and Kathy Shirley. Pikes Peak National Cemetery. And it's only been open since 2018, I think Steve said. And we don't have it on our list yet, so it's a new one for us. So Pikes Peak National Cemetery there in Colorado. That's it, David. Phantom Airborne Brigade. Yes. That's it. Very good. All right, so if I add up the cemetery visits this week, we had 6, including the one new, for a total of 1,611 visits to 213 different locations. So we'll keep adding to that list. And then we move on to the Thank a Vet Challenge, where we've been sort of gamifying interactions with service members, veterans, law enforcement officers, in an effort just to show appreciation. And we've been doing that, and I'll tell you where it started. Some of you may remember, Lori and I, when our daughter was getting her master's degree at Texas A&M, Lori and I flew out there to visit, and it coincided with a football game there at Kyle Field. We went to a football game, visited Charlotte. This must have been what, Lori, 2018? I don't remember, but anyway. So we get to the airport to come back home, and saw a Vietnam vet guy, had a Vietnam vet hat on in the airport, and I walked over and had a chat with him, and I thought that'd be kind of cool if we did that on purpose and started tracking it as part of Speaking to Zane. So that's what we did, and now all this time later, we're still doing that weekly, chronicling these interactions that we have with veterans and service members. And I know this week Daryl had a Navy Korean War vet that he met at the grocery store, and then an Army Vietnam vet. And then I had 2 at work this week, and I didn't see any more. I looked through all the posts and didn't see any more. So I think we had 4 for the week, which takes us to 3,743 times that someone in this relatively small group of Speaking of Zane have interacted with another veteran and let them know they're appreciated, or at least shown interest there. And that's a good thing in my book. So 3,743. We're trying to get to 4,000 by the end of the year. So we have 2 full months. We're at 3,000 743. So if we were at 3,800, we'd need 200. So we need about 260, I guess, 260. So 260 over the next 8-9 weeks. I think it's possible. I might have to do a diving catch, but we'll get things going. But I appreciate you guys playing along with us there, and it's always fun. I always get excited when I'm at the Kroger or somewhere and I see a vet and we have a conversation about something, and it's really cool. All right. Nothing new in the organizations. I mentioned the 50-mile march. I'm at my half of my 2,500 fundraising goal there. I'll be ramping up my information about that as we move into the new year and into spring. Doesn't happen until August. And before that, we will have already completed the Running to Honor 5K up in Michigan. Lori's working on that to get. We haven't really gone all out yet, but our plan is to invite as many of Zane's battle buddies as we can get a hold of, because it'll coincide with the 10th year of his passing. And he had a really strong turnout at his funeral. We'd love to have all them back together after 10 years and celebrate Zane in conjunction with the Running to Honor 5K. Aaron Bartle has been so great and accommodating and asking if we'd come up and be part of it and everything. So stay tuned for more on that. Any and all are welcome, of course, but that'll be a good time. Okay, I think that is it. I mentioned Reach Across America already, got everybody up to speed on that. So that's always a good time. It's always beautiful to see the wreaths out on all of the headstones. There's nothing like it, quite a breathtaking thing. And I know you all have your local veterans cemeteries that you attend and assist with. So that's wonderful stuff there. But I did put in the link to I have a custom built, speaking of Zane, landing page on the Reach Across America website. So I put that in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, so you can go check that out. And then you can also use that to navigate to find other locations. And I think universally they're all on December 13th, but the times of day vary a little bit. I think Georgia National is like 9 or 10 a.m., but the one Lori and I will be in Cambridge, and that's at noon. So noon local British time. So so that varies and there. So be sure to check out your location. All right. Well, I think that is it. I'm going to go get some clothes out of the dryer, get myself ready for tomorrow, and look forward to a good week at work, a good Friday in Washington, D.C. I'm hoping the airline delays aren't very bad. Atlanta Hartsfield is the world's busiest airport, and even though the process is good and the TSA is good and all the different pre-check and all the stuff I have, I mean, you've got air traffic controllers that aren't getting paid. You've got TSA agents who aren't getting paid. So the longer this goes on, the more the potential impact to travel is going to be, for sure. So we'll see how things look on Thursday afternoon when I get over there. I'm going to go earlier than I normally would. It takes an hour drive, and I usually try to get there 2 hours ahead, but I may go a little bit earlier this time. But anyway, I look forward to reporting back to everybody next Sunday night about how things went in our nation's capital on Friday and Saturday. And we hope the rest of you have a fantastic week, whether it's at work or school or whatever. And we'll see you Sunday. Be good, everybody.